Hey guys, it's Jessii Vee, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about another very scary creature from Japanese folklore. This one is terrifying. It reminds me of Siren Head. I feel like any sort of gigantic creature or being is awful, especially when it looks like what this one does, which you'll see in a second. I'll show you tons of photos as usual. But before we get into today's video, just want to give you an update on really awesome things that are going on to our store. We have really awesome summer items. My favorite things that we've just put on there are these mermaid shell detangling brushes. This is a mystery item that we have on the website, so when you order one, you're not gonna know which one that you get. They're just like different colors and different sparkles inside. The detangler is on the back, and these are so good if you have like curly hair, thick hair, stuff like that. But on the inside, there's actually like sparkles and things. I just think it's so magical and fun. So if you guys would like one of these, I have linked them down below. Ty has also come out with a tie-dye line of sea creatures. So we have the octopus plushie, we have the really cute hammerhead shark plushie, and we have the stingray plushie. So if you guys would like any of these are so fun. I love the colors. I've linked everything down below in the description for you. All right guys, so let's get right into today's video. This creature is called, and I'm gonna try not to butcher it, the Gashadokuro. So this is a creature from Japanese folklore, like I said, and it literally means starving skeleton. It is 15 times larger than a human being, and this monster has supernatural powers including invisibility and invincibility. The legend goes that it was formed from piles of bones belonging to people having died from famine or on the battlefield, and they are unable to move on to the afterlife because they died with such anger and pain in their hearts. And that energy remains long after the flesh has rotted from their bodies. And as their bodies decay, their anger ferments into a grudge against the living, which twists them into a supernatural force, which is this humongous skeletal monster. And it only comes alive if these dead have not been buried. It's in search of revenge and justice for these dishonored souls, and the spirit roams around the countryside after midnight. And when it moves, its teeth chatter loudly and its bones rattle, and apparently it makes the sound gachi gachi. That's how it's written down as the sound that it makes. But they are not always noisy. If they should happen upon a human out late on the roads, the Gashadokuro will silently creep up and catch their victims. Its goal is to cut off the heads of solitary travelers to drink their blood. And people become aware that it's nearby if they feel a buzzing sensation in their ears. The first time this creature was ever depicted in art or paintings was in 1844. This piece was called Takayasha, the Witch and the Skeleton Spectre. And because of the large amount of bodies that is required to make a single one of these creatures, these abominations are much rarer to be seen than they were in the past, because back in history there were so many wars and famines and mass amount of people who were dying at once. So now that you know a bit about this creature, I wanted to tell you a creepy tale of a girl who saw one, and this one is called The Red Lights. It is so creepy. This story is about a girl that recently moved into a new apartment with her dad and had a room with a window that overlooked a beautiful forest that had a park and a walking trail. She thought it was so cool that she lived in a city but still had a beautiful view of the trees outside. However, the first night that she went to bed, she noticed these red lights coming through her window. It just lit up the room with this eerie crimson color, and she just assumed they were the glow of the street lights or a nearby store sign, so she grabbed an eye mask and was just able to sleep with that on. She didn't really think too much of it. But the next night she grew curious about this red light and walked up to her window, looked outside, and she realized it was not coming from street lights or stores, but instead coming from far off in the distance, hovering above the trees. There were actually two circles of bright red light. She thought that maybe it was a radio tower or something, so she got back into bed and fell asleep. But her nights got stranger and stranger. She began to notice that each night the lights were in different places. Sometimes they were a little bit closer and larger, sometimes they were farther away and super tiny, but they were always above the trees. She thought it must have been a very tall structure, but why was it moving? Then one night, against her better judgment, she snuck out of her house to go investigate. She just really needed to know what the heck these lights were attached to. She walked for what felt like miles, and they were farther than she thought. And the closer she got, the higher up the lights got, until she was so deep in the forest that she couldn't see them anymore above the leaves. She came up to what looked to be a very old graveyard. The stones were cracked in half, there was graffiti all over them, and it looked like some of the graves had been dug dug up. She even thought she saw bones scattered around the dirt and tried not to pay close attention to those. And that's when she felt this immense buzzing in her ears. And she also heard this loud rattling sound somewhere in the forest. And as she looked around, this large gust of wind picked up and the trees above her were literally parted in half. At first she thought that maybe this giant storm was coming, but when she looked up, she saw that a giant skeleton was peering down at her with two huge red eyes. And yeah, that's how this story ends. Could you imagine seeing this thing in real life? Like I said, when I first heard about Siren Head, just the immense proportion of that thing really freaked me out. So this is literally like a skeleton version of Siren Head, and I would just never ever want to meet this. There's a name for that fear where you're terrified of really large things. I don't remember what the name of it is though, but I have that. Anyways though guys, if you want me to do more videos about Japanese folklore, give this video a thumbs up and let me know, and please comment down below which creatures you would like me to cover, or maybe if you're from somewhere else in the world and you want me to cover some of the creatures you're familiar with, comment those down below as well. And don't forget, if you would like any of our new mystery mermaid detangler brushes or one of the plushies from the tie-dye line, I've linked everything down below. But I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and I will see you in my next video. Bye!